Hello everyone, this is Lucy05 and welcome to the Mattel toy review. And today so I'll be looking at the 1986 release by Mattel of the Mad Scientist playset review. And today's playset review we'll be looking at the Mad Scientist Monster Lab playset. Now I got this straight from eBay and surprisingly enough this only cost me $10. Now this is all complete along with a lot of those accessories and packets, including the tub of living ice and the monster flesh tub. However, two of the tubs itself that contain the living ice and the monster flesh is, well, long dried out. Of course, this is like 26 years old, well, playset. Of course, it's been long dried up, but there is a way to replicate the monster flesh. There is an online recipe on making the monster flesh, so you can enjoy and play, well, the playset again. And majority of the ingredients you can actually replace with a substitute because they use the similar compound anyway. Now, let's take a look at the front portion of the packaging itself. Now, a little bit of history regarding of the Mad Scientist toy line. Now, during that time when the Mad Scientist toy line first released in 1986 by Mattel, it was the most controversial toy line ever released by Mattel because, as you can see here, the front portion of the packaging, we have two kids. One of the kids is very excited, melting off the flesh of a monster, and the other kid in the middle is disgusted by the gross outcome of the playset. And here we have the animated character of Dr. Psy adding the packet there, the monster flesh remover powder into the pouring the powder into the water itself where the tub is located, and he says, make disgusting gross monsters that sizzle the flesh off their bones. Now, to a lot of parents back then when they saw this set, this is something that most parents would never buy for their kids unless the kid keep on persuading them, because this is one of the most grossest set out there. There are also other sets that's really gross, like Dissect an Alien, where you remove the alien's organs out from the alien's body with slime dripping all over the place, or the Splatter series, where you place the red goo onto this monster figure, and then once you seal up everything, you smash the monster splatter and see all the red gore, well, splashing out. It's one of those really disgusting, controversial toy line ever. And there are some other stuff that is quite fun, some other stuff are quite disgusting, and it was quite fun during that time. Mattel actually did a really good job on marketing this for kids because it's really awesome set, a really awesome toy line. Now, you can see in the front portion of the packaging, you got the monster lab itself with the monster being, well, his flesh being sizzled off by the acidic water. You got a skeleton down. There are two skeletons, monster skeletons for you to play around with, and you also have additional parts to make the monster look even more menacing. You have a lot of stuff there. Here is the listing of all the accessories and all the packets, all the ingredients required for this playset. It includes the monster vat, the green monster flesh, bones to make two complete skeletons, living ice tub, secret froth formula for dissolving monsters, a journal of experiments with instructions. Basically, it's a instruction manual / comic book. Very nice. And here is the smaller image. I'm going to bring this box up a little close, a smaller image to show the whole entire set, accessories plus all the ingredients itself. Very nice. Now, at the top section of the box itself, though this section of the image is the same as the front portion of the packaging, here we get a different image, as you can see there. You will notice the monster's flesh is being sizzled off. Very nice. This is the same image as shown in the front. Same images as shown from the top. And also on the side as well, there's nothing special. It's the same image as shown from the front as well. Now, here is the back portion of the packaging itself, and there's a little bit of damage to the packaging, but I'm still alright with it. Here's a small little comic strip explaining the process of the Monster Lab itself. Dr. Sai there says, "Welcome to my Monster Lab of mad experiments," and you have all the entire playsets, accessories, plus the ingredients itself. Here we have the image, a comic strip of Dr. Sai explaining about the whole procedure. Very nice. Applying the monster flesh onto the skeleton, applying the powdered monster flesh remover to the vat itself, and then, well, toss the monsters into the vat and watch it dissolve. And you can use the monster flesh as, well, as a play-doh, or use the living ice and, well, roll it around to make it as a bouncing ball. Here is the previous lineup, the smaller set series on making your own monsters. The first three on the top here uses the flesh, monster flesh tubs. As you can see there, you can make 3 different types of monster flesh monsters. And at the bottom section uses the living ice tub, allows you to make 3 different living ice monsters: Ice Storm, Ice Smash, Ice Chomp. The flesh monster will include Ogre, Slugor, and Igor. And when I was a kid, I actually owned the Ice Storm, but I lost the smaller playset. Very nice. This playset is extremely big for the box itself, but really worth it. So without further ado, let's open up this packaging so we can molest the playset. Be right back. And we're back after removing the figures and the rest of the stuff out from the packaging. Now, before we start off with the review, let's take a look at the instruction manual that came along with it. Now, what I really like about the Mad Scientist playsets, especially the larger playsets, that they come along with a small little booklet, which is an instruction manual / comic book. So the first half of the instruction manual is actually a comic strip showing, well, Brian, the small little boy here, interacting with Dr. Sai, where Dr. Sai can't wait to show Brian his new invention, which is creating monsters for no apparent reason at all. Yes, that's what he actually, well, he never actually thought of what is the use for making the monsters. But not only he does make the monsters, he also found a way on how to dissolve them as well, which is very nice, very entertaining, and very, well, very fun to read. On the other half of the instruction manual, or the book itself, it shows the instruction manual on the listing of all the parts, how to assemble the skeletons, and how to connect the other parts to make the skeletons to whatever fashion that you want, how to, well, make the monster flesh stick onto the figure. Very nice. Applying some of the additional details onto the monster, applying the powdered monster flesh removal packets into the tub of water there, well, placing the monster into the tub and watch it dissolve. There's also a smaller instruction manual on the living ice, which I'm going to explain later. At the bottom section there, it shows you on how to make the monster look more menacing. At the back portion here, which you can see the stains there, very dirty stains, there's a listing of helpful hints, something like, well, if you don't want to use too much monster flesh compound onto the skeleton itself, your supply of the monster flesh will go longer. However, if you do run out of monster flesh, back then in the 80s of course, you can actually buy the smaller sets, the smaller monster making kits that came along with the monster flesh compound. You can actually substitute those monster flesh for your Monster Lab playset, which is very nice. They actually mentioned this on the helpful hints there. Very, very nice indeed. Now I'm going to put this one side first. Now let's take a look at the entire accessories, starting off with the living ice. Now the living ice here, as you can see, stated living ice, store in container, replace lid with when not in use, non-toxic, not a food product. Mattel Incorporated, 1986, USA. Now the living ice itself is basically as you can see, is a clear translucent jello-like substance, a quite hard jello. And for my living ice, it's already dried up a long time ago. Furthermore, there is no smell at all for the living ice, which is a good thing. Most people thought it will have some distinct odor that will stink up the place, but there is no smell at all. Now, the purpose for the living ice is that you can actually play around with the living ice by taking a chunk of it and run it with warm water at the sink, and it will become much more softer. You can also roll it around to make it as a ball and have it bounce around in the room, or you can stuff, well, coins or any objects into the living ice to make things look bigger. Also, what's mentioned in the comic book itself, if you use the living ice onto the skeleton, yes, it's doable, but mine is all dried up. You can actually use the living ice instead of the monster flesh compound onto the skeleton, but they do not mix in with the secret froth formula, which is aka baking soda. The secret froth formula is actually baking soda in the actual reality. So you cannot mix them up together, and they cannot dissolve using the monster flesh remover. There we have 2 packets of powdered monster flesh remover, but the actual playset actually has more than 2. So that's the secret froth formula. So basically, the powdered monster flesh remover is actually citric acid. Yes, it is just powdered citric acid, and the secret froth formula is just powdered baking soda. So you cannot mix them together and have it melt using the monster lab. And there is no way for you to actually, let's say that if you buy this playset nowadays and the living ice is long dried up, or you ran out of living ice, there's no way for you to replicate the living ice. There is no recipe to make it. The monster flesh, however, is doable. First, we'll take a look at the monster flesh compound. Now, here we have a large tub compared to the smaller tub here. A large tub of monster flesh compound. Now, the monster flesh compound back in the 80s itself, if you do run out of the monster flesh, you can actually substitute them using the smaller monster kit playsets. But what happens if you buy it today, or nowadays anyway, and the monster flesh compound is long dried up, or, well, it's empty? You ran out of monster flesh to play around with. You can actually search online, yes, online, on how to do a monster, well, the monster flesh itself. There is a chemist by name of Dr. David A. Katz. I'm not too sure if he's supposed to be called doctor, but he's a chemist, and he actually made a listing of ingredients on making the monster flesh compound, which is very useful advice. I suggest you all who actually own a monster lab playset and you ran out of monster flesh to go check it out. You can make your own monster flesh actually by using simple ingredients like, well, 2 cups of flour. The problem is the original recipe requires 1 cup. It's not enough. I tried it to make it myself. It's not enough. You need at least 2 cups of flour, half a cup of salt, 1 teaspoon of alum. Alum is to, well, to have the dough itself preserve a longer time. 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil. Yes, 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil. And you need half a cup or a cup of water, but you don't need to use all the water, but the water has to be mixed with 8 to 9 drops of food coloring of your choice, be it blue, yellow, green, red, whatever your choice is, and you mix it around. You mix it until it becomes a dough-like substance that the texture is not sticky at all. And I already made mine as shown like so. You can see that the substance is not sticky, not too sticky at least, but is enough to place it onto the skeleton itself. You can use this to stick it onto the skeleton. So to those who actually do run out of the monster flesh, you can search it online, download the PDF or print it out for the recipe and make it yourself. But what about the rest of the ingredient? Like I said, the rest of the ingredient itself, you can actually easily replace them. Baking soda or citric acid. However, the citric acid packs here, it depending on how much monster flesh that you use on the, well, onto the skeletons itself, you still need to mix it with the baking soda, and depending on how much baking soda that you need to mix it with. And once you mix it, because of the chemical reaction between the baking soda and the citric acid, will cause a sort of like a well, not explosive, more towards tearing the flesh apart due to the reaction itself. So the citric acid here is still usable onto the baking soda. Problem is, it takes a bit longer time to melt the flesh, unless you need at least 3-4 teaspoons or tablespoons of citric acid to place it in. One packet is not enough. You need at least 2 or 3 packets of citric acid. Or you can actually replace it, not using the citric acid, but you can replace it with lemon juice or vinegar. I would not suggest vinegar because it stinks, and I would not suggest lemon juice because, well, it depends on what kind of lemon juice that you get. As long as it's clear enough that you can see the skeleton being, the monster itself covered with the monster flesh, the flesh being dissolved in lemon juice. So here's my advice to all who actually owns the Monster Lab playset, still owns it or just bought it. So here we already explained on this part here. At the back portion here we have the vat itself. As you can see, the vat is a little bit warped, a little bit damaged, but it's still alright. And it stings as well because the amount of monster flesh that you use it. You can still clean it, but it still have this little bit of odor due to the monster flesh and the other ingredients as well. Then we have the smaller accessories, but first let's take a look at the figures. Here we have 2 sets of skeleton. One set of skeleton here, as you can see. You can actually mix and match with the parts itself. It doesn't matter how it looks, it's up to your imagination. And all the joints are all ball joints, which is very nice. You can actually pose the figure to whatever extent that you want to. It actually has shoulder joints that turns 360 degrees, that goes up, down, side to side. It actually has upper bicep or, elbow joint here that bends this far, backwards, goes side to side, turn 360 degrees. Also have a ball joint onto the wrist itself that turns 360 degrees. Ball joint onto the neck itself that turns 360 degrees, go up, cannot go side to side though because due to the side, the shape of the skeleton. Also has articulated jaws, as you can see there, very nice. Goes out and in, very nice. You have the torso joint here, also on the ball joint that turns 360 degrees as well, goes inwards and outwards. Hip joints as well that goes 360 degrees, goes inwards and outwards. Everything is all ball joint. Knee joint as well that bends all over the place, and ankle joint as well. Quite very articulated figure. And the best part is the details is actually not bad. We have 2 sets of different skeletons. The body itself, the torso body is different, but the arms and legs is about the same. There's no changes there. It's just the torso skeleton, and the rib cage here is a little bit different, and the head itself is also a little bit different. One is a little bit long but very skinny head. The other one is a very fat, flat head. Both also have articulated jaws. As you can see, they all have eye sockets. This one has 4 eye sockets. It also has a nostril as well, nose hole, fangs as well. This one don't have fangs, just a little bit of smaller fangs. This one has longer fangs, very nice. And you will notice each of the figure itself, there's 2 small little holes there. You can attach a string on top of this skeletons with the monster flesh, and you can actually, slowly drop it into the tub of citric acid and let it dissolve, and you can easily pull them out without dirtying your hands. Very nice. The back portion of the figure itself. Both figures are actually made of a dull white plastic material color, but you will notice there's a bit of, I would say a little bit reddish on some parts because of the previous owner. I'm not too sure what he did with the skeletons itself. Very nice. Quite articulated. Now let's take a look at the rest of the accessories. Here we have 2 stamps to make the monster flesh, one to make the scales, the other one to make the veins. You can have the skeleton covered with the monster flesh, and then you start applying these little details onto the monsters itself. Then we have 2 sets of face molds. As you can see, this one is for that figure, but you can actually interchange it. It doesn't matter how you use it, depending on the amount of monster flesh you place onto the skeletons itself. I tend to use this one onto this one because this one looks much more better, and I prefer this skeleton because of the fangs. As you can see the mold there, very nice. This is on the other side as well, very nice, made of a lime green plastic material color. So that's the stamps itself. The monsters also comes with armors and weapons. We have a breastplate made of a brown plastic material color. We have an axe, and we have a mace. Both the axe and mace at the bottom section there, there's the ball peg joint there. You can actually remove one of the arms for the skeletons and plug it in. Very nicely done. Or you have the monsters wield the weapons. The breastplate is quite simple. The moment you have the monsters covered with the monster flesh, just plug it in. It doesn't need any pegs. Then we have a set of jaws here, upper jaw and lower jaw, made of a dull white plastic material color, same as the skeletons itself. The details are very nicely done. You're applying these 2 jaws onto the monster's face after you apply the monster flesh. Then you plug it in. There's no pegs or anything. Very nice. Then we have the extending parts here. You can actually remove the lower arms, or the elbow joint there, and plug it in with this, and then plug in with the lower arms to make the arms longer to whatever your desire wish. Actually, it's made of a silver grayish plastic material color. The mold there is all mechanical. Then it comes to the point that we have six eyeballs, all made of a white plastic material color, as you can see there. You can have one monster with 6 eyeballs or 4 eyeballs, to whatever your wish, depending on if you're making 1 monster or 2 monsters. Then we have a pair of antennas made of a dull lime green plastic material color, and a pair of ears to decorate the monster. Very nice. Then we have 2 sets of large claws, as you can see here. Now for the claws itself, all you can see, this is a clip-on. All you have to do is just clip on to the hands for the wrist joint here onto the skeleton to make him look even more menacing with larger claws. Very nice. Details are quite awesome, actually. Quite nicely done with the details there. And finally, we have the base. The base is made of a bronze plastic material color. This section here is where you place the tub, the vat. The bottom section is something like this. Staging 1986, Mattel Incorporated, USA. Here we have 4 sections at each corner for you to place in the eyeballs, the antenna, the ears, the weapons, the jaws, the accessories that you're not gonna use. You can place it there, but there's nothing to cover it, so you have to be careful and not, if you place it on top of a cabinet or on a table and you accidentally nudge it and then it falls, then there goes all the accessories. I suggest placing all the smaller accessories in smaller packets with Ziploc, just in case they don't get lost, especially on the eyeballs. They are very small. This two section here is to place in the stamps, and this two section here is to place in the face molds. As you can see, there's meters going on, very nice. All the mechanical parts, the tubings, very nice. Both sides of the mold is basically the same. And that's all the accessories and ingredients for the monster lamp. Yes. Next up, I'm going to show you guys on how to play around with the monster lamp. Be right back. And we're back, and this time I'm going to perform the monster lamp's gimmicks and features. Now, first things first, before applying the monster flesh compound onto the skeleton itself, take a small chunk of the monster flesh and then mix it with the secret froth formula. Or if you don't want to use the secret froth formula, or you ran out of the secret froth formula packets, just replace it with baking soda. Once you mix it thoroughly, you just make a flat pancake out of the monster flesh itself, and then apply the baking soda or the secret froth formula on top of it, spread it around nicely, evenly, and then do it for the back, and then mix it together, and then make it a fat pancake again, and add another layer, another packet of secret froth formula or baking soda. Once you're done with that, then apply the flesh onto the skeleton itself. Now for the vat, fill it with warm water and add in the powdered monster flesh remover. Now according to the instruction manual, you need at least 2 packets to fill it up, and then you have to stir the water with the powder itself. If you don't have any of the powdered monster flesh remover, just replace it with citric acid or vinegar or, well, lemon juice. Now, next to me is a fully covered skeleton with the monster flesh along with the baking soda. As you can see now, it's not quite easy to apply the flesh onto it and let it stay there. Now the monster also have been attached with the claws as well. So next up, let's apply the face mold. As you can see, that's the face mold there. That's not enough, but it still works for the time being. In the eyeballs, in the fangs, mold it a little bit to give it some distinct look. Now if you want to put some antenna, you can. This one don't have enough flesh, so where is the antenna? Here we go. Mold it in a little bit, just to have the flesh cover it. Because there is no peg to secure it, you use the flesh to cover it. And yes, it keeps falling off. Okay, and in the flesh a little bit more. There you go. Now we apply the stamp, the flesh stamp, onto the monster's flesh itself. But first, let me adjust the flesh, and then you just stamp it to give the monster scales. As you can see that. Very nice. Now you have a monster ready to get dissolved in the monster vat. Now it will take approximately at least 20 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes for the figure to be fully dissolved. So first things first, I'm gonna move the camera up a little bit closer for everyone to see the action. And here we go. And we're back, and this is what happens after 30 minutes later. Although it's not fully dissolved yet, but I would like to show everyone what it looks like when the monster itself is being dissolved up to this point right now. As you can see, all the flesh has been dissolved, has gone under the vat itself, including the eyeballs, the antenna, the fangs as well, as all drop underneath the vat. So once you're fully done with dissolving the monster, you can actually pour out the water and scoop out the eyeballs, the accessories for the monster accessories along with the skeleton out, clean it up and store it back again. And then if you still have monster flesh, you can play it again the next time in the future. Or if you ran out of monster flesh, just make another batch of monster flesh. And just remember, always keep the monster flesh compound in the tub, seal up with the lid, and place it in a refrigerator, because it will last a bit more longer if you put it in a refrigerator. And this batch of mine that I created was 1 week ago. Now, if I'm gonna give a rating for the Mad Scientist Monster Lab playset, I say this is the most awesome, fun playset that I ever had. And the best part is it's also compatible, well, if you want to do dioramas with your 3¼ inch figures. The Monster Lab here makes a very excellent 3¼ inch diorama for your G.I. Joe figures, of course, or any other 3¼ inch figures, because this playset is really fun. Because you have a base there with all the mechanical parts, like a mad scientist, mechanical contraption, and then you have a almost 3¼ inch figure of the monsters themselves. Very nice. So if I'm gonna give a rating out of this, I'll give it a nice 9. A 9 out of 10 for the Mad Scientist Monster Lab playset. Really fun, lots of fun to play around with. Half of the, or most of the ingredients can be replaced with everyday common household items, and you can make it yourself and play it over and over and over again. So yes, 9 out of 10 for the Mattel's Mad Scientist Monster Lab playset. And I thank you all for watching. This is Lucy05, and I'm signing off.